I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending January the 15th, where the market fell again in spite of some really strong fundamentals that we've seen this past week. And it's just all has to do with the equity markets, you know, the stock market, the crude oil is at a 12-year low. Just pretty much everything that's publicly traded has been down so hard, and the people that invest in markets really don't know what to do with their money right now. They're pulling it back out of everything, and anybody that's on the long side of the cattle market that's buying contracts of cattle, they are investors and not really in the cattle business, because we're all short in the market or hedging or putting pressure on things. So you really rely so much on those guys that are investing your fund money and things like that. Your live cattle futures on the February contract were down the $3 limit on Friday to end the week at 127.55, which was down $5.32. Feeder cattle on the January contract down the $4.50 limit on Friday to end the week at 154.30, which was down $5.12. But just the volatility is really hard to handle right now. It has been for the last 6 months or so. Nobody can keep up with this market. You know, I feel sorry for some of these commission guys or guys that are trying to price cattle out in the country. Your sale barn guys, just anybody that's working in cattle marketing, trying to work with producers, because I don't know how you could tell them what their cattle are worth within $30 or $40 a hundred, and that really depends on what day it is. If you tried to give somebody a bid, you know, it might be good for 5 minutes or something. It's just so volatile, you can't keep up with anything. A lot of people know that I keep track of the markets when I come in contact with them. Here in the last week or so, you know, they asked me about the market going down. They're still talking about the crash that we had in the fall. Most of them are, you know, it's hard to tell them that the market's been up and down 3 different times since then. And that's the way of all of us are really getting so frustrated with things. It's you don't know what cattle are worth. You don't, if you're buying cattle, you don't know what to give for them in hopes that you might could mark them up or add some value to them. If you're selling your calf crop, for a lot of guys that just run cattle, it's the only cash check that they get for the whole year. You don't know whether to sell them this week or sell them in this market, or haul them to a different sale barn, sell them on the video. You just don't have any idea what to do, and nobody's really smart enough to tell you. That you know, on the fat cattle market this past week had a huge volume. We won't know for sure how many we had, but Kansas had the biggest trade, weekly trade they've had in years. We'll see what the 5 area is when it comes out on Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday. We don't have a board trading. We don't have a lot of our government reports and things. But thank God we don't have the board, because it won't go down the limit on Monday. But it starts back up on Tuesday, and the next time we visit, we'll see what that final volume was. But huge volume of fat cattle sales. The Packers didn't have near as many contracts for January as they normally do. Bulk of the trade was at 134 on a live basis and 209 to 210 dressed. We're at such a premium right now to what the board is. You look at the board ended the week at around 127.5, and most of the cattle traded at 134. That is a huge cash premium there, and so we know that we're on shaky ground next week on this coming week's trade. Box beef cutout values just soared all through the holidays and continued to soar even into the new year after the cattle prices broke. Nearly $50 of a rally right there. For the week, your box beef cutout values were up nearly $8.50. That's in spite of the big sell-off on Friday. They were down hard on Friday. Your choice cutouts were down $2.69 on Friday. So that was how much we've gained there. But we're expecting these box beef cutout values to start petering out now. They've gotten to such a big rally through here, and trading at a big premium to what dressed fat cattle market is. So we're getting through that. These wholesale places and your retail outlets have all restocked after the holidays when they sold out a lot. They've done a whole lot of buying there at a price that they thought was fairly low, but they ran each other up to quite a rally there. But now we'll probably back off now. People are saving their money. They're trying to pay their credit card bills for everything they spent over the holidays. The last part of January and February is kind of a downer time. The weather's terrible and cold. People just mostly stay huddled up in their houses and watch TV or Netflix or something like that. And they won't be out buying a lot of more expensive beef products to run that up. So we can expect your box beef cutout values to kind of lull out and then dip without a whole lot of trade going on. Your kill this week, 568,000 this past week. That was 18,000 more than the previous week and 18,000 more than the same week a year ago. So really these packers are making some money and they're needing to refill their coolers because they've sold so much in the last few weeks as we've been rallying on these cutout values. So that's encouraging. We've had a lot of encouraging things. Your feeder cattle market started out pretty good earlier this past week, but ended up down hard with your feeder cattle, big calves going right on feed, and what yearlings are around, mostly backgrounded types. They were $5 to $10 lower, spots as much as $15 lower. Calf prices were not quite as bad. They were more uneven, with a lot of demand coming in, buying grass cattle already, even though snow on the ground and everything's dead everywhere right now. But guys just have gotten in the habit of buying their grass calves a lot earlier. California and those western places have been getting moisture. They like to do a real early grazing season out there, so we're seeing some more demand for that. They haven't grazed a lot of those pastures in years out there. It's been so dry. But calf prices run even, $5 higher to $10 lower, but the lowers outweighed the gains in most cases there. Your CME cash feeder cattle index ended the week at 162.03, but it will continue to drop as you see your real-time index on Cattle Market Central at 158.24, and it's really doing a good job of being a precursor to what that CME cash feeder cattle index price is going to be. So you guys that are keeping track of the markets, be sure and get on cattlemarketcentral.com and then put a login in, because you need to be tracking that RTI of what we call it, and you know, whenever the market does flatten out occasionally, you see those come right together. So you can pretty much count on the cash feeder cattle index to do what the RTI does, and it's always a day or day and a half ahead of that. But the reason your heavier feeder cattle were down so much more than the calves is because the calves had the grass buying demand, and your feeder cattle, we've gotten to the point now where those cattle won't finish in line with the April board, and when you get into the June, it just drops off so much that those cattle don't pencil out very well, and they're going to have to get those a whole lot cheaper. People don't feed cattle for just 120 days anymore. Used to, we'd see that a lot, just 120 days. You could figure that 4 months of feeding, but people are feeding cattle to heavier weights. They need to put that weight on to cheapen those cattle back up to have a chance at making them work. So, you know, you figure, especially in the northern plains, 150 days plus, and the southern plains boys are feeding them more than just 4 months too. Cattle Market Central individual quotes there in Lexington, Nebraska on Friday at 3:15 in the afternoon. They had a load of 751-pound steers, bring 160.75. That was the extreme top late in the week there. A lot of those cattle weighing in the 7s were bringing down to 150s, and you didn't see very many 8-weight cattle at all bringing over 150. So this market's sure a lot lower. The calf deal was quite a bit better at 1:30 early in the afternoon there at Lexington, Nebraska. They had 108 steers weighing 518, bring 205.50. Still a pretty good price for a good 5-weight steer calf, and you can imagine in Lexington, Nebraska, they'd be the best ones that walk. Check out DV Auction. We're really getting in line with our spring bull sales now. Got over 400 production cattle sales scheduled and already booked at DV Auction. So get online and check those out and see your favorite ranches or places you might want to buy a bull from, and we'll be doing that now on through April. So from here, my home office here in Maysville, Missouri, we'll talk to you on Wednesday.